I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Peter McGaw, Chief Exploration Officer at MAG Silver. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're here on the final day of the Denver Gold Forum. How has the atmosphere felt to you? What's your take on resource sector sentiment right now?
Well, obviously the resource sector is in a fairly challenging period right now with metal prices having dropped fairly dramatically over the last month or so too, and investor sentiment moving away from the sector. But what we're seeing here is a lot of people who think there's a bottom that's been laid in, and we're seeing a lot of generalists, and we're seeing a lot of big funds that are coming, funds we haven't seen before, coming in looking for opportunities to invest because they think basically there's nowhere but up to go from here.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of talk about those generalist investors and how to attract them back to the sector, but you see them already coming back?
I think the ones that we really want in the sector are coming back on their own accord because they recognize there are bargains out there.
Q3 is nearly over. Can you share any updates on what MAG Silver has been up to during the period?
Well, the most important thing we've been up to is we've been building a mine, and so we're continuing to dig the ramp, and we've completed the twin ramp, and there's just a lot of progress going on the property. We're in partnership with Fresnillo PLC. They're doing a great job building it. We're hoping we get an internal feasibility study at least done, if not this quarter, very early next quarter. That is required by the shareholders agreement, but lets us put a stake in the ground and say, okay, we're going forward with development. I think it's quite obvious that the development is already happening, but this is a formality that we have to get past.
Right. So your partner at the project is Fresnillo. It's a major silver producer. How does that relationship work, and what are they bringing to the table?
Well, first of all, they're not a major silver producer. They are the world's biggest primary silver producer, and we are basically building the third copy of the same mine that they have built in the Fresnillo district in the last 10 years. So they bring a huge amount of expertise. They bring a lot of market savvy. They've been mining the same vein we'll be mining for several years now. So the metallurgy is completely optimized. They bring huge advantages to MAG in the district.
MAG is aiming to be a primary silver producer. Are there any challenges or advantages to being so focused on silver?
Well, we're focused on silver because silver represents about 65%, 70% of the value in the bonanza zone and about 50% of the value deep. But that said, we have a gram and a half of gold pretty well throughout the deposit, and anywhere from 3.5 to 7.5, 8% combined lead and zinc. Plus, as we go deep, we get significant amount of copper. So we're not pure silver in the sense that's all we do. I mean, the benefit of those byproducts is that it gives us a net negative cost per ounce of silver production. And on an all-in sustaining capital basis, $5.02 per ounce of silver equivalent.
Silver has not been having a great year this year. What do you see coming next in Q4? Can we expect improvement? How do you see it?
That's a really hard question to answer. My crystal ball is no better than anybody else's. But just point out that first of all, we put MAG Silver together when silver was under $4 an ounce. So on that kind of historic perspective, 14 actually sounds pretty good. And I'm not trying to be too flip here, but we set out to find a deposit and focus on deposits that are high enough grade to survive under any market conditions and big enough to survive at least 2 market cycles with very high IRR. So even at $8 silver, and God forbid we should get to that level, we still have a 15% after-tax IRR. So to some extent, what really matters to us is the silver price in 2 years as we go into production in mid-2020. And I suspect and I feel that silver will improve over that time. There's just too many industrial uses for silver that are coming on. I mean, silver is key to solar technology, for example, and the increased demand for silver that's being predicted for the next few years is high enough that I expect it'll have a material upward influence on the price of silver.
Some people are extremely optimistic about silver in the very long term. Would you share that view?
I do, depending on how you define extremely optimistic. I'm not interested in having extremely high silver prices because the world's economy collapses. But I do believe that over time the silver price will go back up. It would be nice to see it in the 20 plus range. I'm a little bit concerned about what happens when it hits $50, but if it goes there, we're going to be the top of the heap because once this mine is in production, starting in about 23 or 24, we'll probably be the world's biggest producer of silver at lowest cost.
Final question. One common theme I keep hearing come up at this event, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, is that investors are just not as interested in the resource space as they could be. Is there anything in particular you do when we're in times like that to encourage investor interest in the company?
Well, I think, the first thing you do is get out and talk to your existing investors to make sure that they are comfortable with sticking with the program and what you're doing going forward. And we have seen a few major funds who are exiting the sector, which creates additional shares coming into the market, and obviously we'd like to see people pick those up. A lot of the reason I think that the sector has suffered for the last couple of years is infatuation with blockchain and cannabis, and what I call the casino money has gone into those. The millennials have not seen a major downturn in their investing life yet, and it may take a hard event like that to hit them so that they pay attention again to the historic safety that's represented by precious metals.
That's all from me, unless there's any final thoughts you want to leave investors with.
Just that, we've been very fortunate at MAG. We found what we were looking for with our very first drill hole, which has allowed us to manage our share structure very nicely. We only have 85 million shares outstanding. We've got $150 million in the bank. We believe that's enough to cover us to build through production, to build this thing, so we're not looking at an equity raise. We would encourage people to do their homework and take a look at what we believe is the best silver company on the planet.
That's great. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is Peter McGaw with MAG Silver.